Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Today we'll be sleeving a bunch of Ateez photo cards. I think I have like a few hundred here at least, and I thought it would be fun that while I'm sleeving, I would answer some Ateez, Atiny get to know you questions at the same time. So today I am going to be using these Baz Kiss sleeves. And then for the second sleeves, I will be using the Meow Cafe. I'll be using these for my Yunho photo cards. I'll be using these two for my Mingi photo cards. And then I have these black Meow Cafe photo cards for the rest of the members. Okay, so we'll start off with the members other than Mingi and Yunho. And for these guys, I mostly have Golden Hour Part 2 with some Golden Hour Part 1. I think I have a couple of Hongjun from the Will era, and also some Outlaw, but mainly it's from Golden Hour Part 2. I also don't know if I have enough Atiny get to know you questions to fill up this entire video, but we'll get going. I guess it depends on how much I yap about Ateez, which, you know, it's possible that I could go on, but I'm going to maybe try and keep it a bit more tight so that it's like not an hour-long video. I also don't know how much time I have to film right now, so it might be broken up into parts, or I might have to edit it where it's over like a couple of days of sleeving. But let's get started with the questions, and I would also love to hear your responses if you want to leave them in the comments. If you have more questions that you want to ask that you want me to answer, or other Atiny to answer in the comments, I would love that. That would be great. Okay, first one off the bat, really simple one. When did you become an Atiny? So I became an Atiny around the Outlaw era. So it had been a couple of months since Bouncy came out, and it was just randomly suggested to me on YouTube. A bit more background information. I've been casually listening to K-pop up until that point since like first gen. I've casually listened to K-pop. I kind of stopped listening to K-pop for a little bit around like end of second gen, beginning of third gen. But you know, again, I can't stress this enough. It was really like a couple of songs here and there from like the really popular groups, like Girls' Generation. I think even in first gen, it was like HOT, SES. So I would only have like a couple of songs from each of those groups downloaded, and then I would just throw them onto my playlist. So that really was the extent of me listening to K-pop. Like, I wasn't necessarily in the fandom space. I don't consider myself, I wouldn't have considered myself in the fandom space between like first and second gen, and even in third gen. I got back into K-pop mainly due to BTS, and I would say that during that time, I got a bit more into the fandom space. I learned what a bias was through BTS, so Namjoon was my like first official bias once I found out what a bias actually meant. But it was mainly like listening to like BTS and Blackpink. And like no other groups at that time, until I really in 2023, so a couple months after Bouncy came out, was when I saw the music video, and I kind of was just like, oh, I gotta check more. Like I gotta find out more. I have to find out more. Like, I loved the song. I loved the music video. I thought it was so cool. I kind of was like, oh, all right. Like, wow, I need to find out more about these guys. So it kind of just went on from there. and I bought my very first K-pop album ever. It was the Will. So it was the third album in their World Series. That was my very first K-pop album that I bought, because again, before then, when I would listen to K-pop, it would be on YouTube, it'd be on Spotify. Even like before that, with like first and second gen, it was like illegally downloaded through like LimeWire and things like that. I'm really showing my age, I know, but so I hadn't not had like any physical K-pop albums until I bought the Will album. So that was, I would say, from that first like 6 months, I guess, I would consider myself like a baby Atiny. And I know that a lot of people have kind of certain criteria of when you become like, when you move on from like baby to full stan of the group. So I don't know. I kind of just considered that because within that like 6 months, I like listened to all, like pretty much most of the songs, at least all of their Korean releases, album releases. I listened to all of those songs along with Japan, with most of the Japan releases. I watched a bunch of interviews. I watched their music videos. And even then within that 6 months, not that I would consider this a criteria for you to be a fan or to be in the Atiny fandom, but also within that 6 months is when I also then started collecting albums. I started collecting merch of Ateez. And so I would say, yeah, like I would give it the 6 month mark. When you kind of go through all of the albums and things like that, I went through kind of a couple of comebacks as a baby Atiny, as an Atiny. So I guess for me, I would consider that a stepping stone or transition point to when you're a baby stan to like a full-fledged stan of the group. But honestly, like, I don't know, people have different criteria. I also like feel that you could stay a baby fan or stan of a group for a while, right? And until you feel a bit more comfortable personally making that transition. But also, you know, everyone has their own criteria. If you're a fan, you're a fan. At the end of the day, I wouldn't say that it takes any one thing that will transition you from like baby stan to full stan of the group. You kind of almost have to feel it or feel more, I guess, self-assured, at some point one day. So yeah, I think that's my long ramble on that. But going back to the original question, I'd say I did become an Atiny during the Outlaw era. So not very long. I kind of wish I was debut, pre-debut, or even, around Fever era. But again, Ateez finds you when they find you. So, and I'm so happy that they found me at that time, because it was basically a launching pad into other groups, into the collecting space, into the K-pop fandom space, into that community. And I've just I've just been enjoying it so far, and I've just had many, many good experiences since joining the community. Okay, next one, favorite Ateez song. So I would say my favorite Ateez song is Take Me Home. I love it's 80s in a good way. I love the synth. I really enjoy a lot of the synth Ateez songs, like Silver Light, Cyberpunk, and like Selfish Waltz. It's got such good 80s dance synth vibes to them, all of those songs, but I really just love Take Me Home. I know that there are a subset of Atiny that like they are like synth song supremacy for Ateez, and I have to agree. So that's my favorite song for Ateez. Next question would be your favorite Ateez music video, and that's tough, honestly. I have such a soft spot for Bouncy because it's the very first Ateez music video that I watched. But I love the Crazy Form music video. But I think, I don't know, I also love The Real. The Real is such a good song. Also like Don't Stop. Like that was the music video where it's not on their official page anymore. It's like I think like fans had to download it and you know, like re-upload the Don't Stop music video. This is tough. I think I would, just based on the number of times that I watched or would repeat watching a music video, it would probably be the Real. So let's just go with that. Let's just go with that's my favorite Ateez music video. But honestly, I may come back. There may be editing Sandra that would come back with a couple more opinions after thinking about it some more. But yes, let's just go for the Real and leave it at that for now. Okay, so next question is, which member of Ateez did you notice first? So not your bias, but just who did you notice first? And I noticed San, which is very, you know, I think that's very typical, I guess, of maybe a lot of people who don't know who Ateez are. Hold on, let me go get some more. I just like literally need one more black sleeve for Sangwa. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes, so San, because I know that they do dub him was it the group fairy, the one that kind of attracts people into the group, or like non-Atiny or casual fans into the group first. It tends to be San. And I believe even Ateez themselves has said that. So I did, yes, notice San first in the Bouncy music video, just because of, probably because in that Bouncy music video, yeah, like he was in that underground like boxing fight. It was hard not to notice him, I would say. And then it would be Hongjun, like the second member that I noticed would be Hongjun. All right, so we're all done the other group members. So now we're on to Yunho, my bias wrecker, which actually that is one of the questions here. So let's just get into that. Like, who is your bias wrecker in Ateez? And it is Yunho. For the longest time, I would joke that it's like Mingi and the other 7 bias wrecking me. And yes, that is true. Like, that is definitely true. Hold on, let me see here. Where is the front of this? Okay, sorry. So yeah, for the longest time, it was, I would joke and say like, yes, it's Mingi and the other 7 that bias wreck me. For a while, like the other 7 members would be like on a rotation of bias wrecker, up until the Toronto concert, the Towards the Light tour, that happened back last year in 2024. So I went to that concert. Sorry, I'm just having trouble trying to, okay. It's me. Never mind. I am just not paying attention. So the Toronto concert, and I heard that this was a common occurrence for people who went to see them on tour last year for the Towards the Light tour, where absolutely bias wrecked them, if he hadn't already. So, and the same thing happened to me. I can't lie. I absolutely was bias wrecked by Yunho during the concert. And during the concert as well, like a couple of the other, like they were all great. Do not get me wrong. They were all amazing. It was such a great concert. and they all just performed so well. But a couple of members, including Yosong and Hongjun, stuck out to me along with Yuno. So I was kind of like, oh, like for a while thinking like, oh, maybe one of those three. But like it had been like a couple months later, and I was still thinking about, at the concert and like his performance, and he has such great stage presence and his dancing, and he was just so silly and cute. And I was just like, and right around the time of the Golden Hour Part 2 comeback, I had found myself in like group orders and things like that, wanting to claim both Yunho and Mingi in the group orders. So I kind of was just thinking like, at that point, that's probably a sign that he is my bias wrecker. So yeah, but as a duo, it's Yoongi. I don't know what I got myself into biasing both of them. Sometimes I just cry a little bit thinking of how sweet they are and like just how wonderfully talented and their history with each other and their background. And yeah, I get like, I clutch my chest like, oh my god, my heart, I love them so much. So anyway, yes, that is, so is my bias wrecker. I still do joke because it is true that though the other 7 do sneak in there. I don't know. Call me a homie hopper. I don't know. And I don't think Mingi would care. I think if he's like, oh, you bias wreck, same. So, actually, I don't know. I guess I did sleeve a few, but I don't know if these are PVC free. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to risk it. These ones I do know are PVC free, acid free. So I'm just going to replace that. But yes, I think people will know by seeing both Yunho and Mingi, not for the week. They'll just out of nowhere, you'll just see an edit, or you'll see like a Twitter post of like, remember when, and then like this memory of the both of them, and you're like, no, why did you remind me of that? Now I have to go look it up, or now I have to like sit and think about that. Anyway, so yes, that is, so Yunho. Okay, so then we'll go back to, I'll skip over the bias question because we'll do that when we get to Mingi. So other question, when is the next question? Okay. Oh yes, okay, so the next question is, have you ever seen them live? And yes, so I did already answer this question. So the first time I saw them live was last year during their Towards the Light tour in Toronto. I was in the 100 section. I think I was like 11th row or something. And it was a great seat. It was great from the way that the stages are set up usually in K-pop, like with the extended stage and things like that. Like that was really helpful actually. So in terms of like getting to see them, because they don't spend all their time on the main stage, because you're able to kind of get that extended stage. It's just more, you'll get to see them kind of more up close, even when you are in not on the floor. My lower bowl ticket was great. I had such a fun time at the concert. It was also my very first K-pop concert like ever. Well, some people do say that like if Ateez is your first concert, then that might ruin other concerts for you. But like I can see why. Like they are such dynamic performers. I even do hear from other people in like K-pop. They don't necessarily stan Ateez, but they've told me, or I've kind of read, that they absolutely recognize that they have such amazing stage presence. They're amazing performers, and their concert was it was the best time. It was the energy from the crowd was amazing. The energy that they brought was amazing. It was also during Mingi's birthday that day. So it was just a fun time all around. And, you know, I hope I get to see them in concert soon. I know they are currently on tour for the In Your Fantasy tour. And because unfortunately there are no Canadian dates right now, and I don't know if there will be necessarily, but I am just not gonna necessarily go to the United States right now. So it's just, I hope that they do come back to Canada at some point, because it would be really great to see them again. So that one was, you know, for my very first K-pop concert experience, it being Ateez, you know, like that was wonderful. And it also just, the whole K-pop concert experience, I loved that in general. So I love a lot of aspects of that in general. So after Ateez, I've seen a few more other groups and hope to see more groups in Canada this year as well. Favorite Ateez performance video? The one that came was, so when I read that question, the one that came to mind is the Black Cat Nero Halloween performance video. So I would have to say that would be my favorite performance video, but they have such good performance videos in general. So like, again, when I got into Ateez during Bouncy, I would watch a lot of their Bouncy performance videos. That was obviously also pink hair Mingi era. So like that, again, I was just watching any of those types of performance videos. The real performance, like that is such a dynamic like performance video when they do the dance breaks kind of near the end of this song. I always love that. But in terms of like creativity, in terms of like just fun, I would say it would be the Black Cat Nero performance. Man, we're kind of just flying by here. I am kind of doing some yapping, but we are kind of flying by these questions, which is great. Okay, so let's see here. The best thing about them, I think, so coming from someone, I guess, where, you know, I mentioned as I've listened to K-pop for quite some time, since first gen, and as someone who for a very long time I would classify myself as like a very casual listener of K-pop for a while, getting more into it as time goes on. I think that with Ateez, it's their music. I think their music is what stuck out to me first. And afterwards, it would be their interesting like lore, even though I'm not a lore teenie or anything like that, but I think as I was listening to the music and watching the music videos and just finding more about them as a group, it was, I just found their like lore pretty interesting, and their whole like rebellion, kind of overthrowing like, you know, the government sort of lore really interesting. So those kind of like were the things that stuck out to me. And then I would just say like, then what really solidified me as like really wanting to stand that group was their personalities, how they present themselves, really. Like, we don't know them, of course. Like, in the end of the day, we don't know them, but how they present themselves in interviews with each other, their dynamic stage presence and performance, those are the things that I feel Ateez can be really unique about. So those, I guess I just ran through a whole list. I didn't say like my favorite thing about them. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's their music. I really enjoy the type of music that they put out. And I don't think, yeah, like obviously, yes, any group can put out songs that you're not necessarily a huge fan of, but I would say like for Ateez music, I just I can listen to that on I can listen to their discography on repeat. So yeah, let's just go with the music first, of course. Next question is favorite WANTEEZ episode. So that is also a toughie. I'm inclined to say, sorry, I'm going through this again. Where is the front? Where's the front of these? Oh, okay. So I would say that I get obviously the drinking one. That again, that like is the one that comes to mind first. That's such a popular one among Atiny, and even like not like non-Atiny, they know or are aware of that WANTEEZ drunk episode, or like I guess was it spread over like 2 or 3 episodes. The I am trying to think of the first WANTEEZ that I watched though randomly. Like that would have been the I think the one where they were picking like their favorites, like they were kind of doing these tests, and then the other members had to pick the favorites, and then you know, you had to choose by putting a flower in the locker. That was actually the first one that I watched, and that was the one where Mingi had a meltdown when like, you know, wouldn't didn't give him a flower at first, and then later on he did. So that one was the first one that I watched. But I think my favorite one would be the drunk tease. And then of course there's like the colonoscopy episode, which is also really funny. And I think the more recent one, the one where they had that kind of physical 100 challenge, that was pretty fun as well. But yes, favorite one would be drunk tease. Okay, favorite interview of Ateez, I would say is the one with Jonathan, the K-star next door. But the first one, like I liked the one where they came back after they came back from Coachella, and they had like Young on. That was great. That was hilarious. But again, I think it was because it came out, that interview came out when they were doing like Outlaw Bouncy promotion. And that was one of the first interviews that I watched with them. I guess like I started out watching more of the American interviews, so more of their like English speaking interviews. Again, just easing myself into it until I watched more of their their Korean interviews where the interviewer was Korean or spoke Korean. So yes, the one with Jonathan, the K-star next door interview is my favorite one. Okay. Then this one's a good one. What song do you wish they had made a music video for? There was a lot. So other than Take Me Home, because I think Take Me Home would be such an amazing music video if they did Take Me Home. And selfishly, because it's my favorite song, I just want a music video for that. It would have been great if they did a music video for that back in like Fever era. I don't know. Maybe like, I know they've done a couple of kind of like special videos for their B-sides. Some of them are maybe like slower ballads. I think maybe like a ballad. I would love to see some like a music video on one of their ballads, like very romantic, very yearning Ateez in the music video. I think that would be fun. But then which music video, like which ballad, which one? Maybe, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know, what do you think? I keep thinking of that, was it from Epilogue, from Treasure Epilogue, Be With You, and what else? I don't know. That's a tough one. Because like, it's funny though too, because when I read that question, a bunch of a bunch of songs kind of came to mind, but now they're all like, I can't get my thoughts straight on that. But let's just say, other than Take Me Home, I would love maybe one of their B-side ballads to get a song. Because, you know, we saw Empty Box, and there's Everything, which is Jungkook's solo song. And like, yeah, like you can, I would love a music video for one of their more ballady songs. Let's see here. Okay. What is this? If you could swap bodies with one member of Ateez for the day, who would it be? God. I don't know if I'd want to swap directly with like Mingi, for example, or even Yunho. I don't know. I am thinking, I don't know, actually. There's a couple of reasons why you would want, like, per member. I don't know. Maybe, like, San or Hongjun during, like, one of the fashion weeks. When they have to go to one of the fashion weeks. Because I think that'd be fun. Yeah, let's just say, like, if they're at, like, Milan Fashion Week or Paris Fashion Week or something like that, and they're attending the shows, then yeah, maybe I could I specifically swap on the day that like San or Hongjun are attending one of the shows, because I think that would be a very interesting experience. And yeah, so that's my answer. And they're all kind of falling. Hold on. Oh my goodness. I'm trying not to pile these up too high because I'm afraid that they will fall over, which they have done before. So, okay, so that was a fun question. I want to hear your answers on that one for which bodies, or which if you could swap bodies with one of the Ateez members. I guess you would keep, but that's the other thing. I guess you would keep your brain or your mind would be still there, but like you would just be in the body of an Ateez member. So then in that case, like, I don't know, like would you be aware of their past life, or like even just like going back to the switching bodies with them when they're during like a fashion week in like Milan or Paris? Like, would I know? Like, now we're just getting too into it. For now, I'm just overthinking it. But would I know his like schedule, or would I know, like, what if I met people before and they come up to me and I was like, I have no idea who you are, and then all of a sudden like it's some sort of thing like that I accidentally snubbed someone. And then when I switch back into my own body, it's like, whoops, well, that happened. Now I have to, like, San has to like, face the consequences of that. Yeah, so I don't know. Yes, this was yes, I know it's a fun question that I suddenly made that I thought too much about and started putting all these what ifs into. But I think it'd be interesting to maybe just for one day, or maybe during a day on tour. But again, God, if it was my mind, like, I don't speak Korean. I don't know how to dance. So yeah, maybe it would have to be a day where they're just spending time in their room and not going outside just to be safe. Okay, so now into a more, like, I guess, normal question. Let's see here. Favorite Ateez era. That I would say the Will era. So that run of albums like The World, Outlaw, Will. That's my favorite Ateez era. Or run of albums, I guess. Is that the question? Yeah. Favorite. Oh, no, there's another question on album series. Okay. Well, okay. So I answered that one. Your favorite album series. So it is the World era. that's my favorite album series in terms of like cohesiveness. And but favorite era, in terms, I guess, of I still would say the world era would be my favorite era, along with my favorite album series. So yeah, let's just go with that. But then next question would be, what's your favorite standalone album of Ateez? And I would say it would be, I think, like Fever Part 2, or Fever Part 1, I think would be my favorite standalone album. But I know, like the Fever era 2, like I know Mingi's not in all of Fever era, but I mean, he was there for the song recordings. But then, yeah, I think it would be Fever Part 1 as a standalone album of the songs. Other than that, it would be Outlaw in terms of standalone album, just based on the music. Favorite Ateez concept outfits. So that is, how much time do you have? Favorite concept outfit. Yeah, like, I don't know. I again, going back to Fever, and I think, was that Fever Part 2 where they had the really colorful, I'm drawing a blank, where they had the really colorful outfits and they were in the garden and they had like the flower garden. I loved that concept. I think like that concept of that whole time when they were just in really just bold colors and suits and things like that. I think that would be my fave, like the fave outfit concepts. More recently, I really did like the Blue Hour outfits that for Golden Hour Part 1. And I know like the Golden Hour outfits may not have been everyone's like favorite outfits. Sorry, I'm trying it out here. But I just really liked the softness of the Blue Hour outfits. So I would say that more recently, that would be my favorite concept of outfits for them. Am I gonna have enough? Am I just gonna run out? I'll have two. Okay, I'll have to figure this out then. Okay, well, I'll just finish these up and then I'll have to figure out what to do with these two Yunos who don't have a sleeve. Trying to think, but also the I really liked the reel. So again, going back to Fever era, they're like their academy outfits. I really liked those as well. I thought that was a fun concept too. Okay, so this is, let me just bring this all here. Guess I miscounted. I thought I had, wait a minute, I thought I had more. Let me just double check. Oh wait, I do. Okay, great. Oh my gosh. I was like, no, I could have sworn I bought more. So I just only need the two, which is great. So I do have some left over because I definitely have more, photo cards on the way. So that's good. Ooh, now these are, sorry, 1 second. Okay. We got that. And here we go. Okay, perfect. This works out great. Okay, so that's all of Yunho sleeved. Whoops, there we go. Sorry, you're gonna get a bit of a mess. There we go. That's all of sleeved, and now we're gonna move on to the big one, which is the Mingi photocard collection. Okay, so it's actually a week later. I ran out of time last week, and so I had to wait until the weekend. And it's actually quite cloudy outside. It's a little bit dark, but I did want to get this over with because the piles have been staring at me. I'll have to see if I can do a little bit of editing magic, but don't expect any sort of expert level on this. But let's continue on with the Ateez questions. So where did I leave off? I don't want to accidentally repeat. Okay, so favorite Ateez Japanese song. So for me, that would be Days. Yeah, I like the music video for Limitless, but yeah, I would have to say a lot of their kind of slower songs, although Days isn't too slow, but those, I don't know, I like I like those songs that sound like anime a little bit when they do it. Is that a little like cliche to say, but I do really like Days. Their last Japanese release, Birthday, I really quite liked. The music video was really cool. So yeah, I'd have to go with Days and then Birthday next, I think. Okay, so the next one I got off Reddit, and that is your favorite non-government assigned Ateez pairing. So the government assigned Ateez pairing, to my knowledge, so there's Mats, so there's Hongjun and Seonghwa, there's Woosan, Usan, Wooyoung and San, there's Yoongi, of course, Mingi and Yunho, and then there is Jongsan, so that is Jungho and Yosang. Did I get everyone? Yeah. So what is your favorite non-government assigned pairing? And that's really hard to choose because I do like love, there's just so many different types of pairings. But the ones that come to mind like involve Mingi. So it's Mingi and Hongjun that I love. I think that is my favorite non-government assigned pairing. I do love their dynamic. And I think that they very much have a, what's the word, like, as opposed to, I guess, Yunho and Mingi, when there's just like, I feel like a little bit of a softer relationship. Hongjun and Mingi, like, there is the level of respect that they have for each other as like producers, as writers. But then there's like a little bit of, I love their playful banter. They really do love each other, and that's how they express their love. And it is one of those things of like, I'll rag on you a little bit, but you know that I love you deep down. So, not even deep down, you know that I love you. So I do like that type of dynamic in that relationship. So I guess that's my favorite non-government assigned pairing, which that's actually one of the questions I want to hear from other Atiny, their favorite non-government assigned pairing. Because I have my bias and bias wrecker is a government assigned pairing. It's Yoongi. So I just really enjoy seeing the dynamics overall between like the different pairs and how it can seem different, or like, what they're showing us. It can seem different depending on who they're interacting with. Okay, so then the next question is, what do you enjoy most about the Atiny fandom? And the first thing that comes to mind for me is that y'all are really funny. I try to stay, and like I've done a pretty good job of kind of cultivating my Twitter X feed to stay on the positive side of K-pop, to stay on the positive side of like the Atiny fandom. I do I do make an effort to make sure that I stay on that positive side. And because I do, I just see lots of funny jokes, memes, things like that. And I do crack up at a lot of the different like jokes, even if it was just like some sort of offhand thought that they had about Ateez, but it's just phrased in such a hilarious way. So I would say Atiny family, you guys are really funny. I think that that's my online interactions. In real life, when I meet Atiny, like when it was at the concert last year, it was just good vibes. Everyone was super nice. And in terms of the Atiny like collecting community, again, so far I know, and I've heard stories of bad apples. There's always going to be scammers, and like, you know, dwayers, like deal with at your own risk. But my experience has been that the collecting community for Ateez has been positive, and you can tell that people do it because they genuinely love Ateez and they want to spread the love to other people, because they're not getting paid for this. It's because they love the group and they want to be able to share that love with other people. For the most part, there are some people that, you know, do it because they simply want to get more of a chance to get fan calls or anything like that. Which, by the way, if you want like a fan call, and you're a group order manager, like, yeah, go ahead and get that. But I know that there have been some instances where that can, you know, turn into like lying and scamming people out of their money just so that they can get a fan call with Ateez, and that is when it's never that serious, really. So, but in any case, my particular experiences in the collecting community have so far been very positive. You know, I've had people, especially since I'm like a beginner collector, I'm missing a lot of kind of the earlier Ateez cards, for example. I've had people try to help me find cards. I've had people, go out of their way to look at my wish list and keep an eye out for me on certain cards. So the stories I heard about like people being really competitive or anything like that about trying to get photo cards, I haven't experienced. Not to say that I won't. And also, I'm pretty sure a large reason because of that is because I am, I guess at the moment, not necessarily going for like super rare, super high priority cards. I'm just trying to, at this point, collect album cards and occasionally get the POBs and like the non-merch cards, or the non-album merch cards. So maybe that's why people don't really like feel the need to be competitive with me over photo cards, which again is just so like, come on. Like, let's just step outside and go touch grass. That is definitely, if you're starting to get super competitive over photo cards, you spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of effort, you spend a lot of money on something like this. So I get that collecting can be very important to them, but I think I always thought that if it goes beyond a hobby that you enjoy and it's something that you're starting to get like upset over, if it's something that you are hurting people over, then is that not a sign for you to take a step back? Anyway, I got way off track there. I started going into like the negative aspects of it when I should be talking about my favorite parts about the fandom. But there you have it. My experience has been, you guys are funny. you guys are also very supportive. And I think that there is definitely at this point still quite like a lot of the aspects around the fandom still very genuine, coming from a very genuine love of Ateez and the group. Okay, so when did you know your bias was your bias, Mingi? I didn't know right away. When I first saw, like, you know, when I first got into them around Bouncy era, I was like for a while just kind of enjoying them as a group, as a whole. And not necessarily thinking of like who's going to be my bias. And so I guess like I did mention that I noticed San first, and then I think I like noticed Yunho second, but then I think with Mingi, like his like my first impression of him, like watching like the music videos, again, I really enjoyed his rap style. I really enjoyed his like presence in music videos. I thought he like did really stand out. When I was watching interviews with the group, you know, it really depend. I thought he was like, oh, he's a little bit quiet, but other times I thought he was pretty hilarious in interviews. So, but I would say he became my bias when it was the youth music video. And just, I think, knowing, hold on, I'm gonna get more cards. All right, so where was I? Oh yeah, when I knew. So yes, so the youth music video. And then at that point I had, you know, I learned more about his hiatus, his kind of past struggles. And I thought, I don't know, it was such a beautiful music video. It was like the lyrics, and I was just so moved with how he chose to kind of express that difficult time in his life, or, you know, he wrote it during a difficult time in his life. And I was gonna say, I was like, the talent in that, I was really impressed as well. And yeah, I think from the youth music video, he pretty much became my bias. And then it, you know, from there, it's been great. I was like, yeah, like, I never, since I kind of made that decision, never wavered, never kind of thought that someone else in the group could be my bias or anything. It's been Mingi. So yeah, so that's when I knew he was my bias. Let's see here. Favorite Ateez meme or funny moment. Oh God, I don't know, because some of the funny moments are like the not necessarily even some of the moments that they themselves did, but like some of the memes that the fandom came up with. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to think about that and get back to that. Most treasured Ateez item. So again, I have like a favorite merch, like official merch treasured item, and then I do have some treasured items that are fan made. So I would say my favorite official like treasured items at the moment would be the Mingi signed album that I got through a group order. And sorry, something fell in, I had to go pick it up. But where was I? So yeah, the most treasured, like, I guess, like official piece that I have from Ateez is his signed album from Golden Hour Part 2. I was in a group order And I was very much like, I've had not gotten a signed album from Ateez yet. So at that point, I was like, I am happy with whoever I get. I am aware that it's like random what they send you. They could send you like four of the same signed albums or whatever. Like I'm good with whoever you want to give me. I just would like a signed album as part of my collection. I guess like I had no intention of collecting like OT8 signed. I still don't really have any intentions at this point. But you know, I did think like, you know, if I happen to get Mingi or if I happen to get, you know, like that'd be great. But I'm happy either way. So anyway, the group we're in a manager remembered that, you know, I was like, you know, I'm happy with whomever you want to give me. But, you know, obviously, like, my bias is Mingi. And she was really sweet. And she's like, don't worry. As soon as I opened the package and I saw Mingi was one of the signed albums, I put it aside for you. So that was really sweet. And, yeah, so now that's my most treasured official kind of album merch that I have from them. And then unofficially would be you know, just like people freebies that people made or art they created that I picked up at conventions of Ateez. So because they remind me like of their concert or they remind me of like a good time. So that's also some examples of a couple of my more treasured Ateez items. Okay, so how do you prepare for a comeback? Which is funny because like we're in golden hour part 3. I and because like I only have, was it 1, 2, 4 or so, 3 or 4 or so comebacks under my belt. I don't really do too much. I think now because like I'm collecting a lot more, I do prep my binders. But I know that there are some stores that that do like launch days with you know, with Ateez or the group, and I think it'd be fun like to go to a cup sleeve or a like an album release party at a K-pop store. And there are K-pop stores near me, but there currently isn't really like active cup sleeves or no one really organizing them at the moment. So but I do think it'd be really fun. But right now to prepare, I would say just saving up money, making room in my photo card binder. And I'm not the type that I don't mind being, I guess, a little bit spoiled. Like I obviously don't go out of my way, or I don't want to look for spoilers that, or look for information that the Ateez or like KQ haven't released themselves. Like I don't like leaked information and I don't go looking for that. But I'm also not the type, I know that there are some Atiny that like they like as soon as they hear that there's a comeback happening, they do not want to be spoiled at all. They don't see the previews. They don't see the previews of the concept outfits. They don't see that look of the album until the day of release. And I am not like that. I do enjoy the hype and everything leading up to a comeback. You know, I do want to know like what are the title track, like what are the names of the titles, what are the concept photos, and things like that beforehand. I guess if I wouldn't like, I try not to watch the video previews, or maybe like I try to not necessarily listen to the preview of the song, like track list snippets. But so far, I've not been successful in doing that. I think I tried to do that the last couple, with Golden Hour Part 1 and Part 2. I tried to say like, oh, well, like that's fine. I just don't want to be spoiled on the songs, or I want to listen to it. I want to have my first time listening to it the day of the album release. That hasn't happened. The curiosity it's too much for me. So I usually end up listening to all of the previews and like the snippets from like their music video if they choose to preview it. So I've just decided that for Golden Hour Part 3, I'm just going to do that too. I am going to listen to the preview tracks, and if they choose to release any sneak peeks for their music video, I'm just gonna watch that too ahead of time. I commend you guys though, like the ones who like completely, they don't do any sort of spoiling for themselves, and they like avoid all photos and track snippets or track previews and music video previews. I commend you, because that takes a lot of willpower. I'm just like too curious, and then you hear like the chatter on like TikTok or on Twitter X, and yeah, like I want to be a part of it. Okay, we're at the home stretch. All that's left to sleeve are the non-Korean album photo cards. So POBs, merch photo cards, the like any Japanese album photo cards, and like things like that, like the Pacific sets and all of that. So basically anything that is not a like included Korean photo card album thing, I'm putting in this like kind of section. We don't have that many questions left, so the rest of this video might be a sped up thing. So, but let's move on. Let's see here. Merch you'd like to see in the future. I don't know, because they have a lot of merch. I don't know. You know how like they have the birthday merchandise, and that's more of like an individual thing that each of them do, obviously for their birthdays. It'd be kind of cool to see some sort of merch like that's maybe they get to do like that's a bit more them, more individual. I know, we have things like, Ateez and their Teesman, things that they kind of did get to create themselves, even though it was all kind of under one theme. So maybe something more like that. That'd be a lot of fun. Not necessarily more plushies or anything like that, but something along that line. Like there's like a theme, but then they each get to put their own individual spin on it. But in terms also like clothing line from some of the members, especially the members that are interested in fashion, like Wooyoung, Hongjun. That would be something that I would love to see in the future. And again, not necessarily like merch, Ateez merch that KQ produces, but like a fashion line or like an accessories line that they make themselves. That would be amazing, and so much money. But honestly, if it's, I would definitely consider shelling out for that. Okay, so, have you ever made Ateez freebies? Yes, I have. For their Toronto concert, that was my first time making freebies, and I love that. And I love that as part of the K-pop concert culture in general. I do love making freebies, and so for future concerts that I've gone to, concerts that I've gone to after Ateez, I've continued to make freebies for every single concert, K-pop concert that I've been to. But yes, for Ateez, I made handmade photo cards. So I made 2 types of handmade photo cards, and I can put them up on the screen. And I thought they were a big hit. People enjoyed them. And since then, for other concerts, I guess my freebies, I don't know if they've necessarily been like more elaborate or anything like that, but since then I've enjoyed making other things. Like I've made phone charms. I've done some more like homemade photo cards and postcards. I've like included things like stickers and stuff. Haven't included any like, I love it though when freebies have a little bit of food, like some candy or some crackers or something like that in the freebie. I really appreciate that, and I think the people who are waiting in lines for hours for like the merch tent, or when I was waiting in line for like the Atiny zone in Toronto, I had gone during like the mid afternoon, and I was stupid and didn't get any lunch yet. So the people that were handing out freebies, a few of them had food included or like little snacks included, and that was very much appreciated, honestly. Okay. And then what do you hope to see your bias to in the future? Honestly, sky's the limit with Mingi. There's that joke with Mingi is that like you never know his next move. Like he can just show up randomly someplace. And so honestly, and like that just tells me like I hope he continues to do what he enjoys, whether that's music or outside of music adjacent. And if he feels that this is what's best for his career or his creative process, or if he just genuinely just wants to do it for fun, then I'm all for that. So that's what I hope he gets to do. It's such a mom response, but I hope he's happy in whatever he does next. But again, like part of me knows that there will come a time when they start to do a bit more separate solo work for longer periods of time. And, again, if that's a decision that he's come to, or if that's a decision that, that Ateez supports, then I'm all for that. And, but I don't want to think about that time right now. I want to, live in the hope that they all stay together for as long as possible. Okay, I think that's all of the questions that I wrote down that I got. So I think for the rest of this, I'm going to speed it up and then I will get back to you all when I'm done. The piles are getting out of control. Hold on a second. I need to put some over here. These will be all nice and organized before I actually put them into their binders. Okay, there we go. Okay, we are done sleeving hundreds of Ateez photo cards, so obviously the next step is to put them into binders. I hope you enjoyed the Atiny Ateez questions. I'm sorry that I went on several tangents throughout the video, but I would love to hear your responses to the Atiny Ateez questions. If you're part of another fandom, I'd love to hear also why you love that group and what you love most about being a part of that fandom. So anyway, I will wrap it up for now, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!